Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to try to get rid of some books. For those who do not know me, I'm Ernst and I'm trying to become a bookworm. And even before I tried becoming a bookworm, I bought too many books. Just because I thought books were cool and I thought I was going to become a person that read books. Well, now I have, but I still need to get rid of all of those books I bought just because I thought those were the books I needed to buy. I'm basically doing this video without having a clue of which books I'm going to get rid of. The only thing I know is that my bookshelf here is full, and that's the reason why I have to do it. It will only be hardbacks just because when I was buying books before I started reading, I only bought hardbacks. And now I mainly buy paperbacks just because I like reading paperbacks more. I'm sure many of you will disagree on many of my choices today, so please comment below if you see me making a big mistake. I'll probably leave the books in my house for a week after I publish the video, just in case some of you persuade me to keep one of those. Let's get to it. This is going to be harder than I thought. I'm sitting here with Victor Hugo's Les Miserables, or how you pronounce it. I keep thinking that I will never ever read this version of this book ever, just because the pages are paper thin. The language is really old. I really fancy old books. I really like them for the nostalgia. But what's the point of having one of these books if I'll never read it? So I think Les Miserables is going to be the first one. I know I'm not going to read this specific copy, and I try being less and less wannabe reader, and I'm trying to behave more like a reader, so I think this will be the first one. At one point I bought these books just because it said Big Classic on the front cover. This book is by James H. Hunter. It says Big Classic, but I only found 2 editions on Goodreads, and this is called How Sleep the Brave, a novel of 17th century Scotland. So if anyone knows this book and think I will enjoy it, give me a heads up. Otherwise, it will go away. One thing I'm really looking forward to is the point where my shelf is only books I know, because that has never been the case, as I'm sure I'm demonstrating quite well now. Then we have Axel Jensen, who is a famous Norwegian author, and I have 3 of his books. The problem is they're called Joachim, Icarus and Line. They seem all to be equally as famous, but I thought I would decide on getting rid of 1 or 2 of them, just so I could distill. If I have 3 of them in my shelf, it's a bigger probability that I won't read them, just because it's harder to choose one of the 3. If I just have 1 Axel Jensen book, it will be easier. It's also easy to find all of his books thrifted, so that won't be a problem if I really love the one. To me it seems like Joachim is the sequel to Line. Thus, being 2 books I suddenly have to read, I think I'll exclude both of them and keep this one instead, Icarus. It also seems that his book Ep is his most famous book, so I don't have his most famous work either. I think I will be happier with just 1 of them. Now I know a little bit about it at least. I think we're making progress already. There are probably many books I should get rid of. Then we have Potemkin by George Solovey. After some googling in between these takes, it seems to be a biography about a Russian nobleman. And well, that doesn't interest me that much. When I bought it, I must have been thinking that this was fiction, and so maybe only for the leatherback I bought it. Who knows? Then there's the book I should be getting rid of, but I'm not going to anyway. And that's Shakespeare's Comedies, in this very neat little edition. And I do not like these small books, but it is very cool. So this is the book I'm going to keep just to show off. And I'm sorry, probably won't ever read this. But this is one of the books I notice each time I look through my shelf, so that has to account for something. I really don't hope I'll end up buying more books now just because I have the space. That's not the intention. But at least I can get my Knausgård books on the same shelf. Well, this is kind of embarrassing. This is a book by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and it's called A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. And the fun thing is that I did not know I had this book, but this is one of the books that's on my want-to-read list on Goodreads. And I've actually considered buying it lately. That says something about why this video is useful. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich stands as a classic of contemporary literature. The story of a labor camp inmate, Ivan, it graphically describes his struggles to maintain his dignity in the face of communist oppression. I'm very happy I own this book. Obviously, my past self was very foreseeing when he was buying books. We're finished with the first half. Let's go over to the second half. Here we are, and we'll start off with a big classic again, and here it says Mrs. Gaskell, and the book is Cranford. Doesn't she have a first name? Elizabeth Gaskell. It is very pleasant dining with a bachelor. I only hope it is not improper. So many pleasant things are. A portrait of the residents of an English country town in the mid-19th century. Cranford relates the adventures of Miss Hattie and Miss Deborah, two middle-aged spinsters sisters striving to live with dignity in reduced circumstances. I'm not sold, and I try to get rid of books today, so I think this'll go. Then I see at least 3 books by Johan Falkberg, which is a very famous Norwegian author. Have to do a quick Google search again. This is like with the Axel Jensen books. He's most known for the Fourth Night Watch, and this book I've been talking about earlier, so this I will keep, but I think I will both get rid of the other 2 books I got of that specific author. And one of them is Bread of the Night, which is a weird title, but it also seems to be a part of a series which I don't intend to start reading. And the other one is Summer of Insects, with an intriguing note. The note is actually a ferry ticket from what seems to be 15th of February 1983. I don't believe in science, but I think I will keep it either way, just in case, or just because I chicken out. Probably should get rid of some of my Knut Hamsun books as well, but he just seems too big of an author. I don't have the guts. Often when I look through my old thrifted books, I struggle to get rid of really old books just because I see when they're printed, and just knowing that this book, printed in 1946, was printed at a time where Europe really didn't know where it was going, and that is fascinating. So this is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernst Hemingway. I have not been blown away by the books I've read by Ernst Hemingway. This book I have considered getting rid of just because it makes sounds when I look through it, and I've always thought that the language was kind of hard in this one, but now, on a second note, no, it's not going to be today. A book that's going to go away today is Stieg Larsson's Men That Hates Women. It sounded incorrect in my head, and it's of course The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but both in Norwegian and Swedish, and this author is Swedish, it's called Men Who Hate Women. 2 very different titles in that one, and I like the first one better, the original one. And the reason I'm getting rid of this is because I've seen the movies. Those of you that watch my videos know that I enjoy books mainly for the stories, and that's why I'm not going to take up any shelf space with this one at this time. Also, I would easily get hold of this one in an instant if I wanted to. That's why it's leaving me today. Then we have Anthony Trollope with The Warden. The Warden centers on Mr. Harding, a clergyman of great personal integrity who is nevertheless in possession of an income from a charity far in excess of the sum devoted to the purposes of the foundation. On discovering this, young John Bold turns his reforming zeal to exposing what he regards as an abuse of privilege. Could be exciting. I don't have any faith in this one. So I found out that I have 2 editions of Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, and this is a difficult one. The oldest edition was published in 1930 and the newest one in 1973, and the language is obviously completely different, but I do not know which language I prefer. So I'll have to think about it, but one of them will have to go. I'll put the oldest one away for now and then we'll see. I think that was it. Let me just count. There's 10 books. Probably feels like this is a rigged game because I ended up with 10 books I want to get rid of. And I have an obsession with the number 10, or so it seems on my channel at least. I did not think that I would manage to get rid of that many books today. It doesn't get any better than this. At least now I know what most of these books are all about. It'll also be easier picking out books because it's cleaner. I still think that I might have to get rid of more books in the future, but for now I'll be happy with this. At least now I can buy 10 more books. I urge you now to tell me if you see that I'm getting rid of any books that I should be keeping and should be reading. So please tell me in the comments if you do. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you next time. Bye!